Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the New Educators Department, or NED. I'm here with a school event celebrity, Kara Parham, our fabulous advisor. So, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about what your job is here and
Sure.
kind of like what you do in the SAFE office?
Yeah, so I am an academic counselor in our student advising and field experience office. So every semester I help students advise them to tell them what to put on their schedules. We also do graduation in our office, licensure, student field experience placement. I also kind of think of myself as a maybe jack of all trades. I have a lot of students who come to me and ask a large variety of questions, and so I'm always willing to help. And I have worked at Ole Miss for coming up on 14 years in a few different departments, and This is definitely my favorite.
Awesome. So we're going to start out today's episode with some quick fire questions.
Okay.
Let everyone watching get to know you just a little bit better in case
Okay.
they haven't got to come to the SAFE office yet. So first thing, what is your favorite restaurant here in Oxford?
Okay, well, my favorite restaurant is 100% St. Leo. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
At all.
I'm a big St. Leo
Yes.
fan as well. What's your favorite activity to do here in Oxford?
Well, my favorite activity personally would try to be and go to the gym. I'm a huge fan of Burn Boot Camp, but I also have a child. And so she really enjoys lately going to Crumble Cookies.
Oh, yeah.
But I also just love walking around the square on a weekend alone. It's kind of like a vacation for me.
I understand that. What's your favorite music artist?
So I'm dating myself here. I would have to say it would be something like Nelly or T-Pain or something of that hip hop from the 90s, early 2000s. I would say if I'm going to listen to something, that would be what I'm going to listen to.
Nice. And then a favorite book that you've read anytime in your life?
Well, this is a really hard one because I find that I don't have as much time to read anymore because I'm really tired at the end of the night. So I'm going to go with the favorite books we're reading right now for my 7-year-old. And she really enjoys The Bad Guys, which is like a wolf and some other animals. Or she also loves the Magic Treehouse series. So honestly, those are the books that for the past 2 years that I've been reading.
Both are pretty solid picks.
Yeah, they are solid.
And then lastly, what's your favorite movie?
So my favorite movie, this is a tough one because I feel like I don't watch a lot of things myself lately. I mean, I want to say like quintessentially like Pretty Woman or Dirty Dancing or something like that. But I also really love Cinderella and Encanto, and we're very big into the Disney movies in our house.
I feel like you almost have to be nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
My answer 9 times out of 10 is going to be a Disney movie. So,
yeah.
Okay, so on to some more general questions here about Ole Miss. How did you end up here at Ole Miss? What was your kind of journey with that?
So I'm originally from Kentucky, and I am the first family member, first generation college student, and so I didn't have a lot of guidance. I just knew it was expected that I went to college. So I really looked around a lot because I had no idea what I wanted to do, and a lot of people kept bringing up Ole Miss to me. I think you should look at Ole Miss. I think you should look at Ole Miss. And so I came here spring of my senior year after I had applied. I had one friend here. We are still friends to this day. She's actually a teacher. And I stayed with her for the weekend, and I went home and told my parents I was coming here. They thought I was crazy. And here I am, 21 years later. Yes. I'm still here. Yeah.
I love that. So you mentioned kind of hopping between departments. What all departments here on campus have you worked with?
So I've worked in admissions as an admissions counselor, which is a great first job to have so you can really get to know the university. And then I went to health professions advising office, and I did nursing advising, which is really strange because I'm not very good at science. And then after that, I came to the school of ed, and I've been here the longest. I really wanted to come over here because they have a really great team over here. The SAFE office had won a team award several years ago, and I found that this office and this environment over here is so community-based, and that was something I really, really wanted in a workplace environment.
Yes, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you kind of answered it, but do you have any other favorite parts of working here at the School of Education?
So, well, I don't know if one's not first or the other, but I love my office. We always have each other's back, no matter what. So if something is going on, like we don't ask each other, oh, you can't, it's really not a good time to pick up your kid who's sick or something. It's just an extremely supportive environment. And I love that we're all different ages in our office, which is really great because we all can learn from one another. And in the School of Ed, I love the students because they're all so kind and they all want to make a difference. And I know that sounds very like, oh, rainbows and sunshine, but it really is. I've never found a place that on campus that just is there for you as a worker, but you as a human at the same time, which I think is really an important thing to put together.
For sure, I agree. The environment created in the School of Ed truly is unlike any other department here on campus. So, next for you, I have some student questions.
Okay.
Some of our ambassadors have submitted things for me to ask you.
Okay.
So, the first thing we have, what is an endorsement and how does that process work?
Okay. So, endorsements are based off of each state. So each state could have different endorsements. So we talk specifically a lot about Mississippi. So you have to have your licensure, which is your degree program. And then endorsements are add-ons, or you could call them supplements. So those are two other terms that other states might use. So they're things that you could add the lines onto your initial licensure so that you could teach more than one subject, which then makes you more competitive in the job market. So I tell a student, what if there's a school district that's very hard to get into, but they only had this specific type of opening that was an endorsement? Get that job, and then maybe another one that you really want or grade specific could open up. So I think as many endorsements as possible just makes you a more competitive job seeker.
For sure. What's kind of like the process for getting it?
So it depends on the endorsement. A lot of it is through coursework. So many times you can just have 18 hours of a subject like in English or social studies. Other endorsements require you to what we call challenge the praxis, meaning take that exam, and if you get a specific score, you can add that to your license. And then some other endorsements are only offered through specific schools. Yeah. So, for example, the mild moderate endorsement is offered through Ole Miss. Now, other institutions in Mississippi could have them as well, but that's just not something you can just go take 18 hours of whatever and get it. It has to be approved through a specific university or college.
Awesome. What is the most common misconception that you see about this whole advising registration process?
The most common misconception? This is a tough question. I guess I get a lot of questions about, well, why is my window so late? Okay. Yeah. I get this question a lot. And so it's based off of an algorithm that the registrar has, and it's based off of credit hours and grades, and there's a lot of things that go into it. And as you progress, you get an earlier time window. So I get this question a lot, especially in the freshman, sophomore years. My friend's window is this, and why is my registration window so late? Nobody chooses it. It's just a mathematical equation. So I get that a lot. I would say maybe that's the most common question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we do a pretty good job, so we don't get a ton.
Yeah, I do think that is what I hear the most often from fellow students. So I do think that it's good to have the air cleared on.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with really anyone on campus.
Yeah. So going off of that, the same student asked, what's a mistake that you think students should stay away from?
A mistake?
Yeah.
I think not getting involved on campus is the biggest mistake you can make. I think it's really important to be involved in the School of Ed, but outside of the School of Ed. I think that's really where you can make a lot of touch points across campus, build your resume, but just also get a lot of experience outside of the classroom. Yes, being a great student and coming to class and doing all those things is important, but also getting that well-rounded experience is good as well. So I think being involved in many different areas is key to student success.
I could not agree more. So finally, since we are in the middle of registration season, I think this episode comes out 2 weeks before registration opens. Do you have any tips for registering?
Any tips? Okay, so tips for registering is oftentimes I see students, they have a perfect schedule in their head, and that's all that they put in their favorites. And if it doesn't work out, they just panic.
Yes.
And so I actually suggest putting more than one section in your favorites. So then in case one is closed, by the time you get there, you have a backup plan. If you've been in my office, you also see that I make the day of the week map.
Yes.
So I put, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, okay? And so I think writing it visually down and seeing the sequence of your day is very important because it'll say, if your times overlap, it'll say you're booked for another business event. Well, students are like, what? They don't understand what that means. Business event means your class times just overlap. So I think doing that is important. Also, sometimes students will run into things where nothing is adding, okay? So what I tell a student is, okay, go back in and add a course one at a time. So that way, if there is an error message, you know specifically what that error message is. And it's when you add them all at one time, you don't know, is it geology or is it EDSP 308 or what is causing the error message? So one at a time can be helpful. Also, check your holds 48 hours before, right?
Yes.
Not when your window opens and then you realize you have an advisor hold, which, sometimes I can forget to take it off. I'm a human. Or all of a sudden you printed a page and you have a 10-cent hold because I have, students have told me that before. So check your holds at least 48 hours. I would suggest beforehand. I say those were some really good tips. Now, when you're an older education major, it's very easy to make your schedule.
Yes.
And so I think that's nice for us. And then finally, if you're really struggling making a schedule, just come into our office. We will help you. We have no problems with that, helping a student figure it out. I think communication is key.
For sure. Moral of the story, ask for help if you need it. And make your advising appointments if you haven't already. Get that hold cleared off your schedule.
Yep, and registration starts April 1st. Yes. So that week, you'll get your email probably the week before, and registration will go through that entire week. And I have found that it's a little easier going into the fall semester of making schedules, just because you have seniors who are leaving, and then you haven't had this massive, I'm told, incoming freshman class again coming in yet for summer. So make sure you get that schedule made. Try not to wait,
for sure.
And get your holds cleared. But I can help you, in any way that I can.
Well, thank you so much for joining me here today in the courtyard.
That's
Our first episode live on location right in front of the safe office. And thank you all for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more episodes every other week.
Bye.